Hello, it's Nikki. How you doing? My week is starting slowly because I had a bit of a night out on Saturday and I am still feeling the tiredness from that. I'm so out of practice with going out on the raz, as it were. But I had a lovely time. I hope you had some moments over the weekend that really were good for you, that you needed. And today, I've got quite a juicy one for you. And I want to talk about your personality in terms of your business and your life, but not in a cosmopolitan, let's do a quiz and decide what your favourite colour is, but really leaning into who you are, what you need, what you're all about, and how you work best. And over the years, I've really started to pay attention to how I can work in a way that suits me better, so those who I am working with or for can get the best experience of me. And I really started to notice this when I became a parent, so in 2015. And I really had to pay attention to what I had available, what I could do when, how I could maximize things on limited time. And it's really been an interesting process over the years that I've enjoyed exploring with clients. And usually, not always, but usually, by the time a client comes to work with me, they will have done some kind of self-development in some shape or form, even if they don't necessarily call it that. So they might have been on a short course, they might have done a workshop, they might have read a book about goal setting, they might have had some therapy, some counseling, they might have done some training in some kind of way. But usually they're coming to me with that open mind and with that sense of I'm on a path and I'm looking for the next bit and I'm looking for support with the next bit. And this is really juicy for me as somebody who I would say is a contributor into this self-development world, into the Instagram world, into the world of well-being. Because even though I don't necessarily see it as much now, but there was certainly probably 2015 to 2019, probably just before the pandemic, where everybody was promising something. They were saying, just do these 3 things, just build this framework. If you do this thing in your business, it will change everything. And what I was finding was that clients were coming to me and they were saying, I've done this course before, talking about another coach, and this is not about slamming other people, but what they would say is like, I tried this, but it didn't work, or I did work with this person for a while, but I didn't quite get what I needed. And one of the things that I've observed is that many people don't necessarily recognize or factor in that everybody's different. So just because something works for me, and even if you might say, well, I'm a mum too, or I've got children who are at primary school, or I talk about personal branding, the way that you operate and the way that I operate will probably be quite different. So for you, and I know again, people will say things like, find somebody you admire and follow what they do, or success always leaves clues. We've heard all of those phrases lots before. But what I'm saying is, yes, of course, borrow things that you've seen from me, that you've seen from other people, borrow them, try them on, experiment with them, play around with it, but then give yourself full permission to bring up the other parts of yourself to make these things really sit well within you. So for example, I remember when the skinny jeans really came in, and I actually still really like skinny jeans, but mainly because I think I can't bear to go jeans shopping, so I'm just going to stick with what I've got. But I could try on a pair of black skinny jeans, and Kate Moss could try on a pair of black skinny jeans, and we could both say, these are in fashion, these are flexible items in our wardrobe, but they would look and feel very, very different. And neither, this is maybe where the analogy stops, like Kate Moss probably looks better in the skinny jeans than I do. But again, this is giving you full permission to really work with what you need. So I want to talk about, first and foremost, with your personality. Now, I started doing a lot of this work under Danielle Laporte. And if you haven't discovered Danielle Laporte, I actually mentioned her last week on the podcast. I think her work really resonates with me so much because I love the way that she frames things. I almost feel like she's bringing an idea to the dinner table to discuss. So it never feels like she's dictating what you should do. She's simply offering things up for you to ponder and think about. And I remember many years ago when I first started goal setting, and I started saying, like, I want this and I'm going to be this and I'll be happy when. I don't know if you've done it, but I certainly did. Or I want this kind of handbag. Well, this was all before children. But I was very much applying, I guess, the Argos wish list that I might have done when I was a small child of saying like, right, okay, these are the things in the catalogue or on the internet that I'm turning down the corner of and I've got my eye on. And she asked the very pertinent question, which is, because she asks it all the time, but how do you want to feel? Because her theory is all around, and you can go and visit her books. She's got a great one called The Desire Map and the Firestarter Sessions. I haven't read her recent one, but those two I can really highly recommend. And she always says like, yeah, but how do you want to feel? Because what she found was that she would write this wish list. She would get all the things that she wanted to, or she'd just keep working harder. And then when she had them, she didn't quite have that satisfaction of like, oh, and now I feel complete, or now I feel like me, or now I feel unstoppable. She was left with that feeling of like, but now, now what? Shall I just get more of that? I just don't know. So I would really ask yourself, in the first instance, in terms of your personality, in terms of your life and business, how do you want to feel? And she calls these core desired feelings. And her whole theory is that if you come up with words of ways that you want to feel, you provide yourself with a benchmark with some really strong foundations of saying, look, this is going to really help me to make a decision. Is this decision going to get me closer to feeling like this or further away? And this is, I guess, when I've really connected with those words like ease and flow. I want to feel in ease and flow. I want to feel spacious. That's one of my words that comes up. And again, when we were talking about moving house, it's like, is this going to help me feel spacious? And not just in an actual space way, but expansive. Oh, it's a good one. And so that's a really great starting point in identifying how you want to feel. Because otherwise what can happen is that people might share their theories or frameworks or guaranteed results. I know people do that a lot. And when you try it on, no matter how much you try to squeeze yourself into that version, it just doesn't feel good. So instead of trying to squeeze that, why not create your own? I also want you to think about your personality in terms of your life and your business, in working out how that applies to your day, your week, your month, and your year. So at the beginning of a year, I really take some time to focus on what I want. And I've made no secret of that. I am a huge goal setter, visioner. I was actually thinking this the other day because I've really started to work on my meditation practice because I know that it works for me. But I've done it for years and years and years, like even from being 13 in Scunthorpe Youth Theatre, which is what I used to do. We would use meditating, we would use visualization to connect with our imagination. So we would all lie on the floor of this big kind of studio space and we would connect with our character or the situation that we were trying to build. And it was really, really fascinating. So in a sense, I've been doing that work for nearly nearly 30 years. And I know that it works. But for some reason, when it started to be called meditation, I really resisted it. I was like, oh gosh, I can't keep my mind quiet. Oh no, that's not going to be for me. But what I've come back to is actually taking time to lie on my living room floor most often, close my eyes and connect with what it is that I want. And so when I was thinking about this year, I knew that we were going to be moving. I had hoped that was the plan, and now we know that we are, in this first quarter of the year. And so knowing how I wanted to feel around this was really, really important. So even though I've got, I guess, a selection of, it's almost like doing a weekly shop for my year where I bulk buy lots and lots of ingredients, and then I'll make a decision on what I'm going to cook in that particular instance. But I know that I'll use all of the things within that year. And so when I was thinking about my goals, once we knew that we were moving, I really sort of tweaked things and made them work for me in that way. I also know that at the beginning of each and every month, I like to have a plan, or I like to have a theme and something that I'm really focusing on. So as I mentioned in a previous podcast very recently, I've spent much more time in that headspace of reflection, of asking myself what has come before, what's really been working, and equally what hasn't been working as well. And then I set goals from that place. And this started maybe, 10 years ago when I can't even work out when it was, but basically Matt had a job where he would get his timetable, his schedule for the month in advance. And so we were able to work out things. And I think it was much more when we had a shared calendar, when we had our son in 2015, I would have a sense of what the month would look like. And then I would add my things in there. And I've really noticed it as I go through as a parent as well. You know, January, when they're hopefully both well and schools and nurseries are open, like January is quite a clear month in terms of knowing that I can get my head down and get stuff done. April, however, when Oscar is off for 3 weeks, is going to be a different kind of month, and it will require a different rhythm from me. So therefore, also going into how I want to feel on a week-to-week basis, I've really recognized that I can't live in I always do this on a Monday, or I always do this on a Friday, because I'm still at that point, and I probably always will be, that everything is a bit up in the air, or things are subject to change, or an acting job might come in at the last minute. So I never feel like I'm in a position that I can say, okay, for the next 52 Mondays, I want to feel like this, and I'm always going to do that. However, on a Monday, I know that I want to feel in that sense of getting stuff done, of being in the moment, of having a plan, of being purposeful. I know both children are out of the house all day, and so therefore, knowing that I want to start in that way, I do things on a Sunday night. So I know what we're going to eat, or I know what we're going to wear, or I try and get the house in order. I try to do all of those things as well. And so think about you and how you want to feel on a day, a week, a month, a year. And when you start to go into more of that detail, you can plan much more effectively. So if you know that you want to feel rested on a Friday, or you don't want to work weekends, then you know that you need to do things on other days, for example. The final point I'm going to give you today is asking yourself, what does your personality look like when you're on and when you're off? And when I'm asking about on and off, I'm talking about it as a dial. So maybe 5 to 10 is on and 0 to 5 is off. So it's kind of like a dimmer switch in that way. And really understanding when you are on, what that looks like to you. So I guess the 10 out of 10 of being on for me is when I'm on set, or I'm filming something, or I'm doing a live speaking event, or I'm interviewing somebody for the podcast. I am not doing anything else in that moment. I am on, I am focused, I am there. However, there could be other things within my business where I'm on, as in my things are live, my shop is accessible, but I'm not there. I'm not actually doing it. So I guess my tasks for a 5 or 6 within that would probably be making sure that my website is up to date, making sure that my customer service process is very straightforward, making sure that people can buy things easily, making sure people know what to do next. A 7, 8 or 8 might be as well, is making sure that people can, I was going to say stalk me. I really don't want to be stalked. Thank you very much. But people can explore what I have to offer without me being there. Equally, there are times within that 0 to 5 when I'm off, as in I'm not really thinking about work, but I can look at an email. So that might be like a 5. I can look at an email, I can glance at something, I can have a think about it, I can send a quick voice note, but essentially, like, I'm off and I might be with my children cooking dinner, they might be hanging out and playing in the other room, but I can send a quick voice note or speak to my agent or do those sorts of things. And then there are the 0, 1, 2, 3 kind of situations of being off. And what I mean by that is I don't want to be waking up in the middle of the night when somebody can't access something that they have booked from me and they need an answer right now. Or when I work with people internationally, I always want to make sure that the time difference really works for people, because otherwise it feels too hectic, or that I'm sitting up until 11 o'clock at night, or all of those sorts of things. So I want you to think about, what does your on-off dimmer switch look like? And what is that process for you? Again, this could be linked to your personality and how you like to do things. There are some people, I know, clients who are like, I work Monday to Friday and I do not open my laptop on a Saturday and Sunday. Like, I just won't, and I won't reply to anything, I won't look at anything until at least Monday morning. But I know probably, even though I probably want to shift a bit more into that model, for now, I know sometimes I do a couple of hours work on a Saturday morning. Like, you know, if Luna sleeps and Oscar and Matt are playing something together, I might get a couple of hours work done. I might just catch up on things that I missed in the week. But going back to your personality, one final thing I want you to consider as you are planning this day, this week, this month, etc., see if you can go for the ideal situation. If everything was working in your favor, if you had it your way, what would you do? And then by building up this ideal situation, you're building your capacity, and then you can come back from that and you can make tweaks and compromises and do things in the meantime, and then know where you are ultimately aiming for. I absolutely love this topic. I think it's really, really juicy. And I think it's the future, you know, of how we all work. And I think organizations and clients and brands and companies, they could really learn a lot from utilizing people's personalities and their zones of geniuses and their differences and their nuances. And so I really hope to see that working much better in the future, rather than just imagining that we're all this kind of standard one size fits all, because we are not. And we're not just, compared to other people, are like human to human. But I know who I was 5 years ago is probably quite different in some ways to who I am today, and maybe what I'll require in another 5 years. So it's a really juicy conversation. In terms of next steps, which is going to be a good one, go to the freebies section of my website, nikiraby.com/freebies. And there's a really great masterclass in there called Rewriting Your Life and Business Rules. I was going to say plans, but it's actually rules. This is about you really connecting with yourself and asking yourself, okay, what is it? Like, if I could have a completely blank slate, what would I add into that? The second thing I would like to say is to go to the planning and goal setting and building a strategy section. There's some really lovely offerings on there that will help you. And thirdly, if you want to work with me one-on-one, if you want to work with me for a period of time, I would love you to get in touch. And I would love you to bring your questions, your thoughts, your ideas, where you need help, where you need support. Don't worry, I'll send you stuff in advance. But I'm really, really excited. Now we're getting January out the way. I feel that people are a bit like, right, okay, come on 2022, let's do this thing. So if that's you, let's book in some time to have a conversation. And you can do that by emailing me hello@nikiraby.com. But just fill in a contact form on my website as well. And my email is there, so you'll easily find me. All right, I am sending lots and lots of love. Thank you so much for being with me today. And I'll see you again very soon. Lots of love. Bye.